Hello friends, welcome. Let us do a horoscope reading for the same birth data using two different methods. We will first use the traditional, let's say the Parashari, and then the KP method. And this particular video is based on one of very interesting articles by Sri Krishnamurti himself. So we are going to do a horoscope reading side by side using two different methods. So that will give you a very good, at least a quick, insight into the difference about interpreting a horoscope using KP versus the traditional method. I'm assuming that you are somewhat familiar with both the systems. This will help you compare the the techniques used in the traditional and the KP system. Now, before I generate the chart, a word about this particular form that you are seeing. That I'm developing a portal for the KP community with the help of some of my friends. This is going to be in most part free, and this is a web-based application. And I will announce and share the link here on my channel when the first release goes live, hopefully very soon. Now let's take the birth particulars. So these are the birth particulars. 12th of November 1879. City is Arcot. The city is in Tamil Nadu. And the time of birth is 4:15 a.m. So now we got the form populated. Here is 1879, November 12, 4:15 a.m. City is Arcot. And rest of the settings I will just leave them as default. So now this is the chart. So here we got the KP cusp bhav chart. Here is the Lagna chart. And there are some other supplementary chart and tables that you need not worry about right now. Most of the time in this session, we'll just focus on the Lagna chart and the KP cusp chart and some of the planet signification when we are talking about the KP method. Now the popular approach, the traditional popular approach means just by looking at the chart and not even be concerned about the divisional charts, the people tend to jump to raw conclusions. This approach is very popular, and you will find an entire industry of video promoting this kind of approach. So let's first look at the general strength of this chart from the traditional method. I'm going to put some notes over here so that you can also see how traditional interpretation is being done. And I'm going to hide unnecessary stuff with this. So we are just going to focus on this, right? The Lagna ascendant chart from the traditional point of view. Now, the first thing that you notice, the Lord of 12, that is Sun, right? The Lord of 12, Sun is in 7th house. So this is it's not a good yoke, right? Lord of 12, Sun is in 2. So it indicates loss of property or a weak financial position. And the Lord of 2 in 12 from the 2nd. So Venus is the Lord of 2nd house and it is 12th from its own house. So this again is not a good indication for the wealth. And the third point is the Lord of 2nd and the Lord of 9th. They are both debilitated. So which is basically Venus over here, and the Venus being in Virgo is debilitated. So the 2nd house is weak, and as well as the Bhagyesh, that the Venus is weak. So this makes this foundation of this chart more weaker. And then you find that Lord of 8, right? Mars is strong. So the good houses are weak, and the bad house, the 8th house, the Mars becomes very strong because it is in Aries only. Then you see the Lord of 6 is in 7, and the Lord of 7 is in the 6. This is a Parivartan Yoga. The Lord of 7th is in the 6th, and the Lord of 6th is in the 7th. So it's going to destroy the 7th house. That means the marriage or enjoying a life of matrimonial bliss. And now let's look at the 4th house, which is for the formal education. So now you find that it is already spoiled by Rahu. So it indicates no formal studies, or one might just remain uneducated. That's what the Rahu in 4th indicates. And then again, you find that the Lord of 4th, which is Jupiter, is in the 6th house. Lord of 4th, Jupiter is in the 6th house. 4th house, that indicates the formal education. The Lord of that house is in a bad 6th house. So this again confirms that this person might not be able to have a very good education. And then this is, if you look at the 4th house, it is again spoiled by the aspect of Saturn. Saturn is aspecting the 4th house from being in the 7th. So Saturn in 7th is aspecting the 4th house. So that means the 4th house is quite spoiled. So in terms of property, real estate, education, or even some other possessions like car and all that. And then the Saturn in 7th is not deemed to be good for the marriage. It usually indicates some kind of a delay or even denial. And then, so when we look at this horoscope from the traditional method, we find that this is a very weak horoscope. And on top of it, you will not find that there is any good yoga like Nipuni Yoga or Anupa Yoga or the Gajikesri Yoga or any other Shubh Yoga. So you don't find any yoga or the yoga that might be lending strength to this chart. And top of it, there is something called the Sakat Yoga. Sakat Yoga is formed by the placement of moon and the Venus in an horoscope. So let's look at what Sakat Yoga is. So this is the Sakat Yoga. And what it says is Sakat Yoga in Vedic astrology denotes a vast karmic problem and is known to be one of the most unfavorable conditions in a birth chart. So that's what Shakat Yoga means. And how this yoga is formed? Now, Shakat Yoga is in Vedic astrology is said to occur when the moon and Jupiter are placed in 6th, 8th, or 12th house from each other. So, moon, Jupiter, 6th, 8th, or 12th from each other. And then what it says is further, however, this is not harmful when the moon is in a central position from the ascendant. That's first, fourth, seventh, or 10th. So basically, if moon is not in one of these houses, 1, 4, 7, 10, and but is in 6, 8, and 12 from the Jupiter, then this particular yoga is formed. And this yoga indicates a perpetual and deep struggle in the native life, which must be dealt with all by himself. So this is a very bad negative kind of yoga. And in this horoscope, let's look at the position of Moon and Jupiter, right? So you find that the Jupiter and Moon, they are 6 and 8 to each other. So that Chakat Yoga is already uh, uh, is available in this chart. So this again creates some bad effects for this chart, and since there are no powerful other yoga combinations and the other houses are also weak, so you might jump to a conclusion that this is the chart of a person who might have had a very ordinary education and must have lived a life full of struggles, and there's hardly any accomplishment worth mentioning for this chart. So, and of course, like I mentioned, that this kind of popular approach, the traditional popular approach, doesn't give much importance to any divisional chart like Navansh or the other divisional charts, and they straight away jump to interpretation of the chart and immediately draw a conclusion. So now let us quickly interpret this chart using the KP method. Now, in the traditional method, the interpretation is often done through by looking at the moon chart, sometimes even the sun chart, and there are so many different ways through which a chart is interpreted. So there is always a very a huge conflict of opinion in the same chart by looking from the moon Rashi chart or from the sun by taking sun into the ascendant. The other interpretations can be made. So there is no consistency. I mean, you can, if you look from the other angle, you can find some yoga that will provide some wealth or some accomplishment to this person. But there is no consistency. There are no universal set of rules, and there is always a contradictory kind of a approach. And theories are also very contradictory. So, but in KP, you will see that rules are usually universal. There is a set of rules, and you have to depend on that. And then on top of it, there is a kind of, I would say, a discipline within the KP, where you have to draw the cusp chart. You can't possibly just look at the Lagna chart and start interpreting using the Krishnamurti method. You have to have the cusp chart, and you have to have the planet signification and some other tables. So let's just focus on the main 3 or 4 main points in this chart. And now we're going to focus on this chart, the KP cusp or the Bhav chart. and we are going to focus on the planet signification table. And the first thing that you will notice is the Mercury, which is the Lord of the Ascendant. It's is in its own star, that makes it very powerful. And then it is a significator of the houses 2, 10, and 1. Now these houses are very strong houses in Krishnamurti Paddhati. So these houses 1, 2, 3, 6, 10, 11, these are very strong houses. And if most of the planets or the majority of the planets are indicating this particular combination, then it provides a good foundation for the success of that chart, for that person to become successful in his or her life. And out of that, of course, the 2, 6, 10, 11 are the strongest. Another thing that I thought I must point this out to the KP enthusiasts, that when you're looking at the character sketch of the person, then you have to look at how the how the Lagna Lord is or majority of the planets, how they are indicating the houses based on the tattva, right? For example, if majority of the planets are indicating 1, 5, 1, 5, and 9, then you know that this is a fire element, and so this gives a very positive energy to a person, and he or she will have a very positive outlook in life. And so similarly, you should know that the 2, 6, 10 that indicate the earth element makes a person very grounded and very methodical, very organized, and these persons become very successful in life, and they have a very good handle on the various issues and how to solve them. And 3, 7, 11, the intellectual scientist, those kind of people are born when majority of the planet indicates these kind of houses. And then 4, 8, and 12, the artist and the sannyasi, spiritual kind of emotional kind of person, the water signs. Of course, you will not find a black and white kind of a distribution of the signification of the houses, but still, if you focus a little bit, then you can have some good understanding, a good feeling of what this person's chart might indicate. And of course, it's depend on the dasha also. According to the dasha, sometimes people nature that also change. So the Mercury, which is the Lord of the Ascendant, and Mercury is in its own star, and Mercury is also in its own star. So this is a very strong combination, and it indicates the 3 very positive houses according to Krishnamurti Paddhati, 2, 10, and 1. First house is where a person strives or puts his or her effort to do something great in the life. And 10th is the house of the karma or the profession. And 1 and 10 combination is very good. It will usually force a person to get into some kind of a public limelight. And now let's look at the 4th house. Right? So here you will find in the KP Kasper chart the 4th house lord is Jupiter. And if you look at Jupiter actually, by going into the star of Rahu, becomes a very strong significator of the 4th house, because Rahu here indicates Jupiter. Rahu is in Sagittarius, so Rahu indicates Jupiter. So Jupiter, the 4th lord, becomes a very strong significator of the 4th house. So this is actually very good for the education. And then the 5th house is also good when it comes to, or it makes a person very intelligent. So if you look from the traditional, this person we were thinking might not have had enough education, and but when we look from the KP chart, then we find that the the fourth lord is very strong in this horoscope, and this is actually a chart of one of the most outstanding, I would say, one of the 100 most outstanding person born in the modern India, and I'll give you the name very shortly. And he has been the all kind of PhDs he did. He has been into higher education, and he was the law member of the executive council of Madras or Chennai, and he was also the vice chancellor of BHU, and he had been on board of several Indian universities. So you're looking at the chart of a very accomplished uh, person. Now let's look at the dasha. Let's just quickly look at the dasha. So he was born in the Mars dasha, and then when he had Rahu dasha, then he had a very good education. If you look at the combination of Rahu, and like I mentioned in the beginning, I hope most of you understand this the role of the star lord and the sub lord. So you see that Rahu is very strongly indicating the fourth and the ninth house, along with the 10th house, second house, and the first house at the sub lord level. So it indicates that this person will be shining in the field of education, and he will have an opportunity for the higher education. So that happened during the Rahu Dasha for this person. Now, when we go to the Guru Dasha, then Guru Dasha again was focusing on things like education and all that. But when this person entered into the Saturn period, and now if you look at the Saturn, one of the things is Saturn is untenanted. And in one of my videos, I had pointed this out, that never ignore the untenanted planet in a KP Kaspa chart, because this one planet alone can do magic in a person's life. Either way, if it is positive, it will do a magic on a positive side, and if it is untenanted but indicating the bad houses, then it can go to any extent. So this Saturn period, when this person started his Saturn period, Saturn is untenanted, and you see that it is deposited in the star of Mercury. So that indicates the second 10 and 1 combination. Mercury is the lord of the ascendant and lord of the 10th house, both. And on top of it, the final strength comes from the sublord. This is very important in Krishnamurti Paddhati. A planet at the star level might be showing some good houses, but eventually, unless and until it is supported by the sublord, the matter might fall through. But the in the in the Saturn period, the person had this benefit of the 2, 10, and 1 in both the star lord and the sub lord. And this was a period of huge accomplishment for this person, and he won so many awards. And let me quickly show you wiki page of this person. This is Sir C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer. Many of you might not be aware of him, but if you look at the wiki pages, then you see a list of accomplishments, awards, and appreciation. This is a life of huge achievement, and he had a name, he had fame, he had wealth, all kind of vehicles, all kind of very big houses. So in a way, this was a very accomplished kind of a life from all angles, from the education, from the social status, from the appreciation, awards, and various positions this person held in his lifetime. So look at the wiki pages of C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer, and we are discussing his chart only. And then after that, he had the after the Saturn period, then the Mercury period, right? And if you look at the Mercury is equally very strong, and it is Lord of the Ascendant, and then it is in its own star, and then it's indicating 210 and 210 both at the star and the sublevel. So Mercury also promises more success. And then after that, this person was in the Ketu Dasha. At that time, he had kind of retired, and Ketu being in Jupiter star, so he became more philosophical towards life, and I think that was the age of his retirement also. But he has contributed a lot in terms of his outlook on the philosophical side of the life. And then finally, if you look at the Venus period is Venus moon, I guess, or Venus sun is the period when he died. But if you look from the traditional point of view, right? If you look in this chart, you will not find Venus to be very strong, not a very death inflicting planet. But if you look from the KP point of view, then you see that the Venus, which is in the star of moon and in the sub of Rahu. So this combination of 12 and 2 and then again 12, right? And then finally at the sublord, the 7th house for the Virgo ascendant, the 7th house becomes the Badhakstan. So now you can see that Venus is very strong, and during I think Venus moon or Venus sun or some period, he died. So if from the KP point of view, you see it's more methodical, and you can't possibly make many deviations. You have to have a KP Kaspa chart, and then you have to have the planet signification table, Kaspa signification table also, and this is how then you move forward in interpreting this. Now, a couple of things. One is that when you are already looking at a chart that has already been interpreted, then everything seems to start falling in place. Even if you, from the traditional point of view, if you have an interpretation that's already been given, and then you say, yeah, everything is falling in place and everything makes sense. Same happens in the KP also. If you already have an interpretation given by, like in this case, this whole interpretation has been given by Krishnamurti himself in one of his articles. So you see everything falling in place. But what I'm trying to say over here is that if you get this kind of a chart and you're totally clueless about the status of this person, then then you have an option to interpret it using the traditional method and the KP method. Then you have to see for yourself that what kind of interpretations you will make and how confidently you can judge a horoscope using either of these two methods, and what gives you more confidence. Now there is also one danger that I'm seeing in the KP community, and that's the danger of oversimplification. Oversimplification means that there is a tendency to not even be very serious about the date and time and place of birth, and, that you should be, because the cusp chart is very vulnerable to the date, time, and even place also. A person who is born in Mumbai and a person who is born in Navi Mumbai, or at the same time, the cusp is going to change. And when the cusp changes, the planet signification is going to change. And when the planet signification is going to change, then your interpretation using KP is also going to change. So whenever you are doing a horoscope analysis using the KP method, make sure that your birth particulars are correct, and you don't have an incorrect chart. So, and I think that's also true for the traditional method as well. In the traditional method, especially if you are using the divisional charts, then you might want to make sure that the birth data is accurate. Otherwise, you will be drawing all those that Dashamansh and 30th division and all these charts, and then all kind of nonsense are discussed, and without even realizing that even 1 or 2 minute of difference in time of birth is going to change the divisional chart. So, so that's what it was in this session, and so I'm going to do another chart, hopefully Amitabh Bachchan chart, in my next video, and we will use the same KP principle to make a reading of his chart. So hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'm going to also leave my email ID in the description box. So if you want to contact me, you can contact me as well on this email ID. I'm trying to build a small, I would say, a KP study circle. So, and I'm going to be a little choosy about it. I already have a couple of my friends who are part of that study circle, and a few of them are technical who have helped them in putting this portal that we are going to release very soon. So if you have a knowledge of I would say the C sharp and the astrology also, you might want to become a part of this effort. And if you want to just be a part of the study circle, do send an email to me. And we are also planning to start an online KP classes. So it's not going to happen very soon. I'm sure it's not going to happen in April. But whenever it is ready, I'm going to announce here on my channel. Thanks for watching.